Okay.
Three.
Perfect. Perfect.
Ok, buenas tardes, soy Crypto Bernie, les doy la bienvenida a mi canal donde les comparto mi recorrido por el mundo de las criptomonedas, los proyectos DeFi y todo lo que tiene que ver con ingresos pasivos. Y en esta ocasión vamos a hablar con Orange, de Orange Financial. Lastimosamente nos toca en inglés, él habla algo de español, pero estoy seguro que nos va a ir mucho mejor hablando con él en inglés y entendiendo las preguntas y dudas que tengan. Por favor, háganlas al video. Este video lo vamos a arreglar un poco y lo pongo en el canal para que lo puedan ver después. Le doy la bienvenida a Orange. Hi, Orange. I was just giving them everyone a welcome. Sure, this video will be seen afterwards, but
Hey there.
by a large community that watch us in Asia. I don't know, in Germany. There's some people from Norway that watch
That
it.
is awesome. It was
I don't know
great to
where
be
they
here.
all come from.
That is
But it's
awesome.
a pleasure. I've been following Orange since I got an email from someone that told me this is great to see, and I've started to see. Tell me more about you and about your project. Let's talk about it.
So yeah, I mean, the Orange Financial Project is essentially a yield farming fund that you can invest in and participate in, and basically own a fraction of it. Right? We go and we find intro level liquidity pools, with nice $200,000 to $500,000 TVL range, because we want to capture as most yields as possible. Right? We know that there's so many yields out there in the DeFi ecosystem, so our goal really is to kind of share that yield that we find out there with their community. So users can essentially mint an NFT and they own a fraction of that treasury. So every week or 2 weeks, we give out USDC payments based on the performance on the treasury. And
Okay.
to give you some backstory, you said talk a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
First, let's talk about you. Who are you?
yeah,
Why are you here in the DeFi world? And what is your idea about it?
sure. So I honestly am a DeFi investor. Like I was already participating in so many of these projects beforehand. I came into the scene a lot about in 2019, 2018. Got interested into strong block. That was, I think, my largest like treasury type investment. And then I did a lot of time wonderland investments and a little bit into IoT, the whole helium mining scene and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I was really just a participant in the DeFi community, right? So I kind of decided to create this project because I saw a need for something out there. I wanted to invest in a project that gave me this yield farming exposure. I was already looking for yield farming yields out there and trying to find the best uh, you know assets to kind of farm, but there was nobody out there kind of providing exposure to a bunch of yield farming assets. So the best thing would be to create your own project and do it that way, because really it's something that I think was needed. I had heard a lot of people talking about wanting to get yield farming exposure, but too complicated for them because it's a bunch of different chains and a lot of bridging, and it's hard to find it and keep up with them, and harvesting and all that kind of stuff. So really I'm just a participant in the DeFi ecosystem, right? I feel like I was in the same position as many of the investors here, trying to find yields.
That's my case. So let's yeah, it's and have those projects did rock pooled or what happened at the beginning
I
at
lost a
your
lot of money with a lot of those projects. So, I mean, the whole thing with Strong Block, right? They were giving out a lot of their own token, and there was no information about the yield. They weren't as really transparent as where the money was coming from. And I think I put like $7,000 into it, and just after 3 to 4 months, I had just barely broke even, and the whole token and the project collapsed. So, total money loss essentially. But really it's kind of what drove me to want to create a project that had no token. I see a lot of projects out there making uh you know they give the reward token in their own mintable asset, right? They make their own ERC20 token and they just give it out to their community members. And I've talked about this before with a couple community members, and it's the fact is, you have the community obviously getting this token, right? How are they going to take profit from it? They have to sell it, and that all that's going to do is hurt the price of the token and hurt it for new investors that are coming into the project. So that's kind of like my mentality with the whole USDC as a payment solution for Orange Financial, because a lot of these projects that I invested in, I would say most of the money I lost was because I held on to that token, right? Versus like selling it, or or even just even if we sold it daily, every single day, the price of the stock was going down. So I think having a token as a reward token is kind of ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? Unrealistic expectations for long-term growth.
Yeah, sure. So I want to I want to teach people about what Orange Financial does around farming. Probably this will be the first class, the 101 class about farming, because
Okay.
afterwards I want to go to explain what Orange does and all the roadmap, everything you have inside, all the transparency you have inside. But I don't
Sure.
know if people in my channel or around the DeFi understand what farming is. Can you explain a little bit first
Oh yeah.
before going into Orange Financial?
Sure. I'd love to explain it. So I would say, in the most simplest way to look at it, the way I like to describe it, some people take different approaches to explaining it, but the way I like to explain it is essentially fundraising, right? You are providing money and getting reward for it, right? They need money early on because they need to have seamless transitions between the two tokens. When you have, let's say, an asset like Ethereum and Tether, you want to swap between Ethereum and Tether, and you want to put $1,000 of Ethereum down, and you want to get $1,000 of Tether, right? You don't want any
Okay.
slippage. You want the perfect trade, and to get that perfect trade, you need a lot of money in the pairing. So because there's new pools coming out all the time and new networks, there's a demand for liquidity for those two tokens. And during that demand, you can collect a high portion of trading fees, and that's the APR that you get from yield farming. You are essentially providing fundraising to uh, pool pairs that require more liquidity, and you're getting rewarded for doing so at an early stage when demand is high. And pool pairs are just essentially just two tokens that are in a exchange, and they're 50-50 usually in the pool, so that users can go to that pool and swap from one to the other.
Okay. Okay, that's a perfect description of what farming does and what Orange Financial does at the end. So now let's go to the next stage. What is Orange Financial doing? I don't know if you want me to go to the web page. I can share it, or you can share it also, um, and try to explain people what are you planning to do. No, what are you doing since the beginning, and what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so since February, we have basically just had our head in the sand, fully focused in deploying as much of the treasury as we can into the best yields possible, while also not running out of buying power, right? So we want to keep having enough reserves in case the market goes down, right? So we can buy the dip, as they say. But in terms of roadmap for the future, right now we're focused purely on the yield farming and getting the initial black mint sold out. Once we get that black mint sold out, we can worry about the orange cards, and that'll be kind of our larger launch. So once we move past this black card mint, we're going to begin advertising for the orange cards. And then really, the way I see the roadmap, I see it after we mint out. Like I see a lot of things happening after we have um, closed the project, essentially, right? What I mean by close is selling out all 10,000 NFTs, right? Because that's when the real building really starts in terms of trying to get the longevity going, right? Um,
Okay.
Part of our model really involves like reinvesting, like a lot of money once we have a closed fund, as they say. So I would say that roadmap for the future is advertise the orange cards and just keep yield farming and looking for new networks to find profitable opportunities on.
What I most like, I like two things about your project. Let me do some nice things for you. I like the transparency that I hope you can explain a little bit, and I will show it in the treasury part of the web page at least.
Sure.
And I also like that part of the investment or the revenues, or I don't know, the revenues is not that, is the dividends from the project are reinvested inside the project. And so the
Of
treasury
course.
will grow at the end and keep growing and keep growing. Because if you think as a degen in the DeFi world, you're earning, I don't know, it's I've been earning for these last 6 months like 10%. That's really bad for a degen
Right.
guy. But if you think in the long term, it's amazing because you're
It's huge.
reinvesting and your risk is really controlled. It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's not a lot of other things that if you have transparency and you're reinvesting, it's amazing. and
I
it's no
agree.
Ponzi.
I
That's
couldn't
what
agree
I
more.
like.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
that's what I like. So let's talk about transparency, that I believe is one of the top things of the project.
Sure. You know, I feel like a very common saying is if you don't know where the yield is coming from, you are the yield. You know, you have to know really where it's being generated from and what income is being generated from where. A lot of projects incorporate in real life type businesses and utility, right? It might be for a small business investment or something of the sort, right? It's great, but you can't really prove it, right? It's hard to prove the authenticity. That's why the beauty of it is, you know, everything on the blockchain you can prove, right? Everything on chain and crypto, you can go match the transactions and see the legitimacy of everything. So I personally think that, you know, a lot of projects out there, they get away with claiming that they have a trading bot. I think Stable Fund did this and Rugged, or iBots, my bad. iBots did this and Rugged. They claimed that they had these 4 to 8% interest rate a month, and they couldn't share the wallets because they would reveal the trading strategy, all this kind of stuff. Um, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it just shows that without the transparency, there's no way to really prove whether the project is legitimate, right? People could be running a Ponzi scheme, and you know, and you just think it's a trading bot behind closed doors, right? But here in this case, I wanted to give people the access to really go and see every single transaction. You know, we recently created a dashboard where you can basically track every single buy, sell, harvest, whatever it is, every single payout that's done to NFT holders. Basically, any metric that you can think about tracking on the wallet, we're showing what it is, because you know a lot of DAOs and stuff, they have these team wallets or they have the treasury wallets, and you know a normal person looking at the wallet, they don't really know what's going on. They see a bunch of transactions, they see wallets, you know, money moving in and out. There's no way to really know, you know, what's happening there on chain unless you really do research and, you know, really dived in. So what we're basically doing is we're explaining what every transaction on our treasury wallet is, and you can kind of see that in the transaction section of our dashboard. So
Let me try
that's
to show it. It will be nice to show people how it
oh
works.
yeah, it's a
It's
lot
here
of
on the right upstairs in the
yeah.
dashboard. You can get it. Everyone can go and look at it up. And on the right side, on the left side, you have the snapshots for each week, I believe. These
Yes,
are the snapshots of each week, and also the transactions. You can see them here on your left anytime you want. Sorry to
this one
interrupt.
this
I
one
love
might
the
take
project, so
no, no,
that's
thank
why
you so
I know
much. No, I
it.
appreciate it. This one might take a bit to load the transactions page because we have them just all on one page from the beginning of our project, basically. um, so yeah, we try to really just essentially show people what each transaction is and where the money is moving and all that kind of stuff. um, and yeah, I mean that's really kind of our goal with the transparency, right? We want to be as open as possible, and it, I was looking around the space, and there's not many projects that go out of their way to this extreme, I think. So we really are kind of like using that as our big advertising method. We believe that transparency is a really big important thing here, so we think we can use that a lot to, you know, sell Orange Financial.
So at this time, at this moment in time, you started like reinvesting 50%. No, no, distributing 50% to the token holders, to the NFT holders, or it's not token, NFT holders, and the rest was distributed for between the team that had a little small piece, and the rest was for reinvesting. How is this working right now for people to understand?
So beforehand, our model was designed assuming that we would have a fully sold out treasury. We didn't really take into account the growth of our mints, and, you know, just how slowly it'll take to sell out the 500 initial NFTs. Especially because, you know, at the beginning, this, you know, I made this kind of point a couple of days ago to you know, a couple community members, and it's that we wanted to really prove ourselves first, right? So that's why kind of the black cards are cheaper, right? We wanted to kind of prove ourselves to the community to show them that, you know, hey, look, you know, we're actually providing the yield, right? And that's kind of our review with why the mint kind of slowed down, right? We didn't expect a huge inflow of mints, but we also designed the model assuming that we were minted out. So initially at the beginning, we were reinvesting 50% of the profits. But at the end of the day, if you are only reinvesting, sorry, if you're only distributing 20% to the team, the model beforehand was 50%, 45 to holders, 5 to the team, basically, right? And
Okay.
that's fully sold out. So when we have all 10,000 NFTs fully minted and fully sold, we essentially will need to reinvest 50%. Um, but with the treasury being at such a low level of funding initially, the team wasn't really earning anything, so we had created a snapshot vote to kind of redistribute the reinvestment ratios. So now it's kind of a dynamic fee model. So as we get more funding, the reinvestment amount goes up. So in right now it's 35% is reinvested. As we get to like $250,000 to 500, we move up to 40%, and then 45, and then once we reach half minted out, it moves to 50% reinvested. This way, the team still earns like some money still while they're providing the services to the community, even at low levels of funding, basically. So the team fee goes down as the NFTs mint out. Sorry, that was a kind of
No,
confusing way to explain
no,
it, but
no.
it's a lot of information. So we actually have
Yeah.
a mirror.xyz article about this that lays out all the information perfectly. But it's kind of was a confusing proposal, but I feel like we explained it pretty well eventually, and I feel like most of the people
At
that
that
voted
moment, it
on
was
it
really clear
got
for
it.
me. It was
Okay, good, good.
me for as an investor. It was really clear. It was a motivation for the team also because it was a small payment for them, for your team. And you had to increase it a little bit, and also the growth of the project, as I've heard, as I've read in all the Discord and other videos, is organic growth. It's not a merchandising growth.
Right.
So that's it.
I
The good
appreciate that.
thing, it's been growing, and I've seen that you already sold over 400 NFTs.
Yes, we're almost at 410. We're almost about there.
Amazing because it's been growing. I think I bought number 355 2 months ago, so it grew a lot.
We're almost there.
So yeah, we're almost there. And when these NFTs, for the people that are watching, are 250 each, and then
Correct.
they will turn to be the orange cards will be around 300, I believe,
That's what
each.
we were talking about. We're discussing making them even 350 to really reward the early holders because we didn't expect to be in such an early stage for so long. And really, the community is the one that's really helped us grow, right? All the community members have essentially helped us spread the word. They've been buying more NFTs and stuff like that. So we really want to reward the black card holders more by making the orange card even more expensive.
Okay.
So
So
we're
there's an
maybe
I have a
350, 300 to
it will
350.
be it will be better to have it bigger. And also
Yes.
another question that I have: if when you get to have a lot of more money, will it be more difficult to invest, or it's as hard as it at this moment?
Well, the way I looked at it is that even with more money, the yields would be, around the same, I would say, right? Obviously, with more money, we're able to diversify more and we're able to put more money into more potential winners, right? So I don't want to say the yields would be the same, but in terms of, proportions, right? You have more holders, more money, more holders, more has to go out to more people, right? So I would say that, in terms of investment difficulty, I think it will be good, right? It's really just you add another zero, right?
Yeah. And is it easy to get to different projects with this amount at this moment? I don't know. I see
No, not
7,000,
really.
17,000. No.
Not really. We just got to think about it really small scale, right? The nice thing is that um, we have a lot of leftover cash still that we can use to buy new projects that are potential opportunities, or even if one of our projects that we're invested in currently takes a dump, I think we have about $10,000 to $15,000 in available assets like ETH and USDC that we can essentially use to buy any dips and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that it's difficult. I think it would be difficult once we run out of money. Like if we're fully invested and where we have tons of positions and then we see opportunities to the left and right, but that's
And
why
can get to it.
we never want to fully invest. Yeah, exactly. Can't get to it. That's kind of our view. We never want to fully invest the treasury and always kind of have a remainders just in case of emergencies, basically, right?
And asking, let's turn it to ask a little bit about risk management. So
Sure.
if you're expecting, I don't know, people to ask for money and claim, do you have liquidity without investing in some moment of time, or what is that percentage outside of these projects?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Do you
Um,
mean in terms of like buying
I
power
don't,
for investments, or do you mean the
yeah, I don't
holdings?
know. Yeah, probably I don't know. You have $20,000 invested for investments, and you only invest 18,000 because you're saving 10% or 20% of this money for anything,
Correct.
any risk management there. I don't know how you manage that, or you invest everything
Well,
inside.
okay. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, our view really, right? On the white paper, we kind of lay out the high risk to low risk distribution, right? We don't want to
Okay.
invest 70% of the portfolio into a, meme coin or anything like that, right? So, our view is very long term, right? A lot of these treasuries, they try to make as much money as possible really quickly, basically, and that's not our view because our goal is first ROI the users and then provide long term yield after that. So we don't want to lose the money in the process. We'd rather make less and have it uh, earn for a lot more time, basically, right? Um,
Okay.
so in terms of the risk management aspect of the portfolio, I would say we tend to avoid making any large investments or even putting like over 10% into one asset of the portfolio. We like blue chip assets. We like perpetual exchanges, and we keep a remainder of that money set aside just in case any of those things take a huge dive, basically, right? Um, but yeah, we like to avoid any large degenerate meme coin investments or anything like that. We like
So
blue chip assets. We love ETH, and when we go to provide liquidity, a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people provide they go find the highest APR yield possible instead of really trying to find the safest and highest at the same time, right? You have to think of safety because it doesn't matter if you go have a 600% APR yield on one website and the project rug pulls next month, right? So in terms of yield farming positions that take up a large portion of our portfolio, we tend to do all of them on Uniswap. Uniswap is like our blue chip standard for yield farming, and obviously the token that we're investing in can dive in value or rug, but our exposure to Uniswap contract getting exploited or Uniswap rug pulling is not really a concern that we have. So from a risk management standpoint, we do majority of our yield farming on Uniswap to avoid any like exposure to exploits or rug pulls.
okay, this is the portfolio like we see it. Here is a snapshot of what it really works, how it's doing, and as everything, the transactions are underneath inside the web page. You're more than invited everyone to look at orange.financial. I believe it's amazing. I believe your team is great. How many are there
Thank
in
you.
your team, Orange?
There's about 5 team members, along with community moderators and stuff like that. It's me and Struan really who do a lot of the hands-on stuff. I'm the only one that manages the treasury. Struan manages a trading wallet, where he does a couple leverage trades. He has like I think maybe 2 to 3 thousand in USDC that he's leverage trading on a weekly basis. But in terms of yield farming, it's just me and him, and the team. We have a couple community moderators and managers. So I would
Okay,
say 5.
and when are you doxing?
So when am I what?
Getting doxed?
Never, never,
Why
never.
not? Why
So
not?
I would say that the US regulation is a big reason, right? There's so much uncertainty in the space currently. Maybe in the future, once there is more regulatory clarity with, what is and what isn't a security and what is and what isn't allowed in crypto.
Yeah.
But until then, I think anybody that, puts their identity up on a crypto project like this and, offers their service to US citizens, they're essentially setting themselves up for any potential thing that could happen down the line. They could change the law, change the rules. We saw this with Wolfer Finance where, FTX collapsed and I guess the owner got really scared and, forced everybody to get KYC and paused all rewards. I feel like, if we're doing a crypto project, we should abide to, the crypto standard, which is we shouldn't allow, one country's you know one
Yeah.
country's rules and laws stop the growth of the project, right? The idea is that we want to go as long as possible, and we feel that if we KYC or docs, we will essentially be held back from performing as long as we can. We've
Okay.
seen projects like GMX and a couple other perpetual exchange projects that choose to just entirely avoid any sort of KYC and doxing. And the only main reason they do it is because of the regulatory uncertainty, basically, especially around perpetual exchanges, because they offer leverage and all kinds of other stuff. But that's a different story, right? My
Yeah,
main reason is because I just want to provide this service as long as possible. I don't want, any concern of, having to abide to certain changes in the regulatory landscape. I'd rather keep my crypto community strong and alive as long as possible, pretty much.
So your community is really active in Discord. Are you planning to have Telegram or only Discord? How is it working really?
So right now we're just on Discord. We kind of like avoid Telegram because we like to have like voice chats, and we feel like there's more of a interactive, informative experience compared to Telegram. Telegram is just like it's all shoved into one announcements channel, So
Yeah.
we like the organization of information. We're even thinking of creating a circle community thing, which would be better than the Discord now, because we could incorporate, lessons and, little informational videos into the whole thing. So we're looking at other community management solutions compared to Discord, because we feel like we want to engage with the community more on an educational aspect.
I believe
Teaching
I
and stuff.
need and I need a lot of education around it, and I believe a lot of people that needs this kind of stuff, because when you get to DeFi, my feeling is that you get to the shitty projects, and you don't see anything else, you don't learn anything else. It's difficult to explain, and to people understand. I've been trying to explain the we call it
No, I
here with
agree.
con plastilina with with clay, trying to explain them how it works, but they tell me it's too technical. I don't understand. It's too difficult, and then you end up doing a Ponzi scheme and
Yeah,
losing money, and then they run away because they lost a lot of money with crypto
exactly.
and DeFi. So I believe there's a lot of teaching around here, around this kind of world.
Right. Well, education is such an important factor. I think that, so many of uh, crypto people that I know, they only learn from mistakes, right? They only learn from losing money, and it'd be great if that wasn't the case, right? If we could just kind of set them off in the right direction from the beginning, especially just teaching people the, tools to research properly, right? The tools to identify scams and rug pulls, and even just the basics, setting up the proper MetaMask, and verifying authenticity of projects before you go into them, and you know the basic bare bones that should have been taught already, right? But
I know
hopefully,
you. We talked about talking with Crypto Labs guys, and they did. I studied my first class with them, and they did an amazing teaching for me. But even though I lost money in crypto, because I was in a hurry to invest because it was amazing, and I got into stable fund and I lost money, and then I got into the other one, and we're going,
no,
we're growing.
I entirely no, I understand your frustration. The Honestly, the way I see it, at least with handling rug pulls and everything in the space, right? It'll be hard to protect yourself against projects, right? Especially if you want to diversify into a lot of projects. So my best suggestion to people listening is don't just put all your money into one project. Don't put all of your money into anything. Diversify only what you're ready to lose. So if you're willing to lose a certain amount, diversify that to a bunch, and don't put it all in one place. And I don't think that's financial advice. I think that's, psychological advice.
It's it's a personal advice. It's not a
Yeah.
financial. Diversify is
Yeah,
important for everyone, and that's one of the keys of investing here or in anywhere. You can't go only
exactly.
on one place.
Exactly. Too
So
much exposure. Yeah,
too much, yeah, and yeah. All this is not financial advice. It's kind
exactly.
of education around everyone.
Exactly. Which is needed,
So,
desperately needed.
yeah, more than needed. So, I just wanted to say thank you. It was a small talk that I wanted to show Orange. I will continue talking about Orange because I like it, because I like the diversification of the project. I like
Thank you, man.
how you've been growing, and hope
I
I can
appreciate it.
support and give you my best wishes on your project. And I don't know if you want to tell anything else before saying bye bye.
No, you covered everything so perfectly. I just really appreciate you having me here, and your support is really appreciated. So I hope we can have another talk in the future, and maybe we can do a Uniswap V3 class where we teach people how to properly set up liquidity pool ranges or something like that.
I believe that will be really nice for me to learn and
We do
to try
the
to
how
teach
to yield farm.
how to yield farm. It probably is. I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't know how to match two stable coins or one stable coin and a altcoin
It's
and put
confusing.
them
They're
inside.
making it harder. They're making it harder. Uniswap V2 is a lot easier, but V3 is a whole 1 hour lesson we can do.
But with the ranges and all this,
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
more difficult now, even
Exactly.
though. But I believe if we teach V2 and then V3, it will be great.
We'll
I
do the
don't, I
whole
don't know how
lesson.
it works. Yeah, it's 2 lessons on a row.
Exactly.
So I appreciate your time. I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
everything, and you're more than welcome to come here and talk to everyone. And next time we'll try something in Spanish.
Ooh, I like it.
Pero muchas gracias. Thank you
Muchas
for
gracias,
your
señor. Le
time.
agradezco mucho.
Te agradezco de verdad, les agradezco a toda la audiencia. Sé que este video lo van a ver después. Sé que este video va a venir mucha gente de diferentes lugares, van a ver los subtítulos. Si tienen dudas, transmítanlas ahí en la descripción. Voy a poner la descripción del proyecto. Este proyecto no tiene, there's no referral link, there's nothing around it. I haven't been paid. I don't want to be paid by you for doing this kind of project videos. I want to show the good things in the DeFi world. And I wanted just to say thank you for your time and see you next time.
Thank you so much. Have a great one. See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you.
See ya.
Let's see.